It's safe to say that York is truly unique. It's a place where so many people give so much of their time and their talent and their treasure for so many causes.
I would compare it in some ways to a play that's produced on the stage there, where there are many roles to play. You can be in the audience, you can support it by buying tickets, you can support it by applauding and making comments and suggestions for the next performance. You can be on the stage, you can be a performer, you can be behind the stage in a support role, you can be in the orchestra pit. There's a role for everyone to play, and I would encourage you I'd encourage anyone to consider getting involved in this community, getting involved in an organization that they feel passionate about, they want to support, they want to see succeed. And York is really a very welcoming community in that respect, that there's always room for an extra set of hands, and you're always welcome to join in and be in the play.
The generosity in proportion to the size of the community is just amazing. Everyone rolls up their sleeves and gets involved here.
All anybody has to do is look around. There's so much excitement building around York. There's so much activity. There's so much redevelopment happening. I think when you look at our sister communities around South Central Pennsylvania, we really have it going on. And I think people just have to open their eyes, see the cool stuff that's happening all around them. Why wouldn't somebody want to get involved? I think it's just a natural reaction. York's happening and people jump in and start helping.
All my life I've heard there's nothing to do in York, Pennsylvania. And I think that's one of the benefits of volunteering and getting involved with these organizations, because not only do you realize that there are opportunities to do things in York County, but it gives you an opportunity to spread the news about some of those opportunities, and you spread it throughout these volunteer networks and beyond. And I think the stronger the volunteer community pulls together, the more people will realize there are things to do in York, because there's plenty to do in this community.
It really is unique because it has the kind of leadership that makes sure that this downtown is not only going to survive, but it will thrive. And that is not always the case in cities across this Commonwealth. And so I think any of us who live here should feel that impulse and be a part of it.
I feel like my identity is really tied up in my community involvement to a large extent. I feel like that's really a huge part of who I am. I was born here, grew up here, and now that I have a child, I can't imagine being anywhere else. It's a wonderful place to raise a family, and because of all those opportunities to get involved, again, you have that sense of ownership, and it's getting harder and harder to find that, I think.
The environment and the culture of philanthropy, giving, and support of community organizations, while not unique, however, York makes it special because of the long tradition and the wonderful example that we have from many people over the years, many of whom I've had the privilege to work with, who have just felt it to be important, felt it to be something of the fabric of our community, to know that giving and supporting of local organizations, whether it's through someone's time, their treasure, or their talents, is important to maintain a wonderful quality of life like we have here in York.
I think one of the biggest things for me is when you see something that you know could work and it should work and should be part of the community, that you step up and do whatever you can to make it happen. When we started Cap Live, we were told that it wouldn't happen, and we went through a lot, and eventually we just kept pushing because we really believed, what a perfect space to have everything and to utilize and to have something going on right in the heart of downtown York.
In my experience serving on other boards regionally and nationally, other people don't have what we have locally in this community, and certainly it goes back to I think, what the Appells have done here.
The downtown renaissance that we're enjoying now, the city in general, so much of that goes back to what they do, and they do it so quietly because they love the community.
The Appells have had a wonderful impact in creating a culture in this community of service, of philanthropy, and of caring about your fellow citizens.
I can say without reservation that Louis Appell has been a catalyst for the growth and progress of Martin Library. And Jody Appell, by her grace and her wisdom, is a quintessential board member for Martin Library.
They have been role models for all other Yorkers. You know, when you have people who are so enthusiastic and excited about a community, it gets everybody else jazzed about being a part of that community.
I feel like with as much impact as they have on the community, it's remarkable that they're still so accessible and really spending their time in the community. So I love that, you know, we can go to a Revs game and run into them. It's better to do it on a night when the Revs are winning. They take their Revolution baseball very seriously. Or at Central Market on a Saturday, they're there, you know, buying their produce, and they're always such great advocates and so supportive when something is going well, and if something needs improvement, they're both people who can look at it very critically, and they're very impact oriented. So I've tried to live up to that and follow their example in that way.
They have led by example. They have shown their employees what it means to be a part of a community. They invest themselves fully in their community. They provide their time, their own personal resources in York. And so by showing that example, by being that leadership example in our community, their employees have learned that they too need to play that kind of role in the community.
And I think that's the thing, you look back at all that the Appells have done, and they really, when they see something that's valuable, they know that it should happen, and they find the means to do it, and they find the people to work with them to make it happen.
All that they've done and the example that they've set, they've really set the bar high, and I think people strive to meet that and to continue that legacy. Their entire family is very involved in the community, and just really look up to them and appreciate what they've done to make it easier for those of us who are just picking up the reins in the last 10 years or so, or just getting involved now. That foundation is there means so much to me and my family.
Well, I would say thank you, Jody, on behalf of the thousands of people who will continue to receive YWCA services because of you.
Thank you, Richard. We love you.
I'd like to say to Louie and Jody, thank you so much for investing all of yourselves into York. And I would like to tell you that I'm ready to receive the torch as a young member of this community who wants to continue to make York his home and ensure that York is always an amazing place to live. And so, as a tribute to you, there are many of us who want to take York and continue to move it forward so that we can help carry out our legacies as well as yours. Thank you very much, Louie and Jody.
With all due respect, Jody and Louie, to your desire not to be in the limelight, I want to shed a spotlight on the impact that you've had in this community. I think of you as giants upon whose shoulders we in York have stood to see a great distance.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Appell have been an inspiration to not only myself, but to many, many other people. And I think it's sometimes that while it may sound corny, and while we're here in the beautiful Strand Theater, of a movie that I'm sure has played in this theater, and I know next door in the Capitol Theater, and that's the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And I remember the scene where George Bailey's guardian angel, Clarence, says to him, "Strange, isn't it, George? One man's life touches so many others." And I often think of the number of lives, the number of people that Mr. and Mrs. Appell have touched through their volunteer work, through their community leadership, and through their philanthropy, and the way that that has spread through this community, that in fact York has had a very wonderful life, and much of that is a result of the work and the support and the commitment of Louis and Jody Appell.